Hello YouTubers, I hope you all are having a really good day today. Today I'm going to be showing you how to develop your first Android application, and today it's going to be a simple Hello World application. So I'm just going to be loading up Eclipse right here. It takes me a moment to realize it's actually minimized, but I'll go ahead and figure that out in just a couple seconds. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so I have a couple tabs open. I'm just going to want to go ahead and close those out for you so that I don't confuse any of y'all. And as you know, while I'm waiting for the Eclipse to kind of load up, I'm just waiting around, waiting for everything to clear up so I can go ahead and start a new project for you. So I'm going to go to New, an Android application project, and I'm going to go ahead and give my application name, a test name. YouTube test project. So I'm going to go ahead and insert those spaces again because I'm kind of OCD and I prefer spaces in between English words. And right here, the package name, it's actually going to sorely depend on what kind of website you run or what kind of business you run. Typically, if you have a .com website, you probably want to start with com for commercial. If you have a net website, you probably want to start with net. Anyways, it doesn't necessarily matter. If you're just an independent developer that is writing their own applications, preferably maybe your locale, like US dot, and then maybe your name or your screen name, and then your application name. So anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and make a clean application. No activities, no custom icons. Let's take a look at that. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. YouTube test project. I'm just going to check out the folders here. And actually here, I'm going to actually delete all of the resources. I am not a big fan of different scaled size resources and XML. I absolutely hate XML. I absolutely hate creating tons of different resources for the different style screens. So I'm actually going to show you that one size does fit all. So, here I made the mistake of creating a drawable source folder, but what I'm going to be doing is actually creating a drawable folder without any of the extensions. No, pixel densities here. Just the name drawable. It's going to be a single drawable folder in the resources just for the icon. Here I'm actually going to give my application name an English name hard-coded in the XML because I don't like dealing with XML, and I'd prefer to just hard-code the name instead of actually creating strings there. Here I'm actually going to select a theme built in, so I'm not going to be using a defined theme from XML. I'm just going to do @android:/theme.black, and we should be good to go, except there's one more issue in my icon. So I'm going to go ahead and open paint.net and create an icon for you guys. This may take a little bit long. I think it actually is in total maybe about 3-4 minutes long. So if you guys want to go ahead and skip this, you can. But as any professional application developer, you'd want a nice icon for your application, preferably one that's not built in. The reason why I say that is because Android application developers know if you stuck with the default icon, or you were to make one of those icons with the icon generator that the Android SDK gives you. It's a personal preference, but I prefer to actually make my own icons so that they are home tailored to what I'm developing. As one of my applications, Hole Finder, you notice I did nearly the exact same thing. I created a circle with a gradient in there. And there's a little white puppy dog right in the center. But in this one, I'm going to go ahead and just create a simple red gradient, and I'm going to put the word test over there. So sit back and relax and watch me go ahead and wrap up this icon making, and I'll get back to you here in a bit. If you want to just go ahead and skip forward again, go ahead and do so. If you want to watch, more than welcome. Okay guys, so I just created my little icon and I named it IC_launcher, and I'm going to go ahead and drag that into my drawable folder and copy the files. So that way it fixes the error that's in the manifest file. You see that the error cleared up and it now is able to find a IC launcher file. Now this can be named anything you want as long as you specify it in the manifest correctly. Notice how I don't have multiple drawable folders and I only have one single one. So what I'm going to do right now is just create a virtual device for you guys. And because I want to target maybe about 98% of the active Android devices today, I'm going to go ahead and select, well first I'm going to just select the size of the Nexus 1, but change it to Android 2.2, API level 8, and I'm just going to make it with no skin. I prefer not to have an extra gray block around the area. I'm going to just go ahead and select use host GPU and go ahead and start that up for you. Alright, once I figured everything out, I'm just going to go ahead and run launch and then close the windows behind it. You're safe to actually close the device manager windows. All you need is the Android emulator right there. So what I'm going to do for you here is just kind of split up the screen here so that you can see both the code and the emulator here. Now, one thing I did not do at the beginning of the project, or the beginning of this video, is actually create an activity. So what's going to happen is I'm actually just going to create a package first, and I'm going to name that the same name as my application, com.codeparadigm.test. You know, these don't necessarily matter inside your code, but it does matter as far as when you do want to publish this app to the Google Play Store. So I created a main class, and I'm going to extend it. I'm going to do public class main extends activity, and then I'm going to do the @override public void on create bundle. Notice how the first bundle has a capital B and the second bundle has a lowercase. What that means is I'm just specifying the parameter saying, hey, this object I am passing is a bundle, and I'm going to give it the name bundle. For some reason, Android needs you to call the super.onCreate bundle, so we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm testing out the Android emulator, not too bad. It'll do well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually steal a part of my other code from HoleFinder, and I'm going to grab the activity, everything in between that activity, those activity tags. Something that if you need to pause the video, please do, but I'm going to actually be inserting and defining an activity within the application tag. The activity tells the Android application where to look for a class that extends activity. So I'm actually going to go to com.codeparadigm.test.main with a capital M because that's the class name. Now I'm going to go ahead and just give that, on configuration change orientation. Now if you feel like pausing the video here, it's a great time if you need to write this down or copy it. Anyways, that little intent filter is basically just telling your launcher that, hey, you can open this activity from a launcher. If you don't include that intent filter, you'll never be able to open up your application. So anyways, on to the main activity. I'm just going to create a quick text view, and I'm going to name that test. So I'm also going to define that when I'm creating it. So, text view test equals new text view. I'm going to pass the context, which is this activity, and then I'm going to go ahead and set the content view to test. Or text, I don't remember. Set text. Is that test or text? I can't read it. Okay, whatever the case is. So I set the text to hello world, and I'm going to go ahead and run the Android application. When this little window pops up, it may take a while, there we go. I'm just going to go ahead and select the emulator that's running and click OK. I did have a Nexus 5 plugged in, but I'm not going to show you guys that. So you notice I have little words hello world popping up. That's because my main activity, I'm setting the content view to test. What's going on here in the code is that when I've defined a new text view object, and then I'm basically telling the activity to set the content view to the object I just defined, the text view. And so, here I'm going to be adding a couple more attributes to the text view I just created. And I'm going to be setting the typeface. I want it to be bold, so I would just do typeface.default bold. And then I'm going to be setting the text size. It'll take me a little while to figure it out, but anyways. So I set text size, excuse me, and it takes a float value. So I'm going to set it to 32F. That just means what you'd expect to see on a web page if you set the font size to 32, pretty much. And I'm going to set the gravity to gravity.center. That just means that the text view will line up the text in the center. That's not always the case if you're putting it within layouts, but because the entire content view is the text view, it should be in the center. So as we see, the word is now larger in the center and bold. Well, nothing's too exciting yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually first remove the title bar. I don't like that little gray title bar that shows up. If you ever noticed that you downloaded a legacy Android application on Android 4.4 or newer, you notice that you may have an actual gray bar at the top that goes back as far as Android 2.2, where that little gray title bar is near obsolete now. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that. So I see we have hello world with no title bar. We just had the status bar, which is okay, but I removed that gray title bar. And now we're going to make the text view do something interesting. So test.set onClickListener, and then I'm going to have a new onClickListener object. Now, this is kind of difficult to understand for a new timer, but I'm passing a new onClickListener object as the parameter to test.set onClickListener. So what that means is, instead of defining it before, I'm actually going to create it within the method. I'm going to create it while I'm passing it, if that makes any sense. Again, it's hard to explain, but the set onClickListener method takes an onClickListener. So instead of defining it before that, I'm just going to go ahead and define it while I'm passing it. Now what I just did there is just implement the unimplemented methods, and on the click view, I'm going to set the text to "you clicked me." So if I run this application again, go to Android application, emulator, and look here, it's going to load. Voila! I've just made my first Hello World application, and I set the onClickListener to basically respond to clicks and set the text to "you clicked me." Anyways, again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please rate, comment, and subscribe, whatever you need to do. Anyways, just have a wonderful day, and I hope you learned something. Bye-bye.